Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino. Ronnie Rance alongside TK, Tommy Chrysan, joining us from undisclosed location. Where you at, Tommy, today?
The Court Street Cafe in Port Allen.
Right over the bridge. Right over the
Yes.
bridge. Right, if you're in downtown Baton Rouge, I mean, literally take you less than 5 minutes to get to Court Street Cafe. Go over the Mississippi River Bridge, take that first exit, second red light, take a right, and there you are. And great place to stop by. All right, TK. News in the world of sports this weekend. LSU survives in advances against South Carolina. It was not pretty at all, but they get the W. The New Orleans Saints put up a decent fight, had a chance late, fumble at the midfield, down a score. That changed took away any chance they had of a comeback. And now for the LSU Tigers, they get by South Carolina, although not pretty. They find themselves, 10th or whatever in the country. But now they'll go to Vanderbilt, and they've got a stretch coming up now with Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, Alabama. They've got a very difficult stretch where really, Tommy, they have to win two of those three games in order to keep themselves in that playoff conversation. We all sort of believe that 10-2 is, where they need to be in order to be in the top 12. And you got one mulligan the rest of the year. After you get past those three games, Arkansas at home, Oklahoma on the road, which, look manageable, but two out of three here is going to be very difficult. Most people don't have them winning two out of three.
Well, A&M's undefeated, top five team, and A&M's done that before, and they fade at the end of the year. Obviously, we'll see if they do that again. But it's going to be tough for LSU to go into Vanderbilt. They beat Vanderbilt by 7 points in Baton Rouge last year. Vanderbilt is a better football team. That's the bottom line, and they're favored by 2.5 points over LSU. I don't know if back in the summer I'd have told you Vandy be favored over LSU if you'd have said, TK, come on, how do you figure that? Well, they are, and they got a good football team. Their quarterback's mobile. LSU did a decent job on Lenora Sellers and his mobility aspect the other night. They're going to have to do that again. 11 o'clock kick, national TV on ABC. LSU typically not good in the 11 o'clock games, regardless of whether they're in Baton Rouge. This one's in Nashville. And, Vanderbilt wants nothing more than to win this game. Everybody wants to win every game, but they want to be a playoff team this year. If they could somehow find a way to win this game, they'll get into that discussion. But over and under is 49.5. The other night, Ronnie, I mean, the defense is there. We get that. But offensively, and I know they said they ran the ball better. That's because of two big long runs. There was a lot of carries where they were stuffed at the line, gained a yard, maybe a yard and a half, whatever. And then Nussmeier, man, he took a beat, ankle, knee. I mean, he hit the ground hard a bunch. And I'll give him credit. He's a warrior. He's a competitor. He kept bouncing up back and jumping in there. But it was a very physical game on Nussmeier. We'll see how he looks going forward.
Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt last year went 6-6. Feels like they had a better record than that because we all remember them beating Alabama, but they went 6-6. This year they are a better football team, but I don't feel like Pavia. I love him. He's a great runner. He's super tough. It's like a fullback playing quarterback, but he's not a great passer. And LSU's defense is elite. I feel like the under is in play, and I feel like the under is in play. That's the one thing I think we know. I don't think either team's going to do much offensively. I like LSU's chances. I love the spot where they're getting 2.5 here, because I just feel like LSU's defense is going to shut down Vandy's offense to the tune of holding them under 20 points. But LSU's offense, I have zero faith and confidence in. And how healthy will Nussmeier be? Clearly, the 2 weeks off didn't do much for him. And then whatever it did do for him, it was, he went right back because he got, beat up quite a bit. And so, and that morning game and on the road, and you still can't run, and all the things. Nothing's changed in 6 games that LSU has played this year. but I feel like I really love the under in this one. I think it's going to be a low scoring slugfest. Kickers are going to factor in mightily in this game. I'm curious to see how LSU and travels and all that. You know, this used to be a game where LSU had 75% of the crowd in Nashville. I feel like they will travel well because it's Nashville, but I think the 11 a.m. game is going to keep some people away because people don't love it. And Vandy's got a bigger following now than it used to. So it's going to be a different dynamic in that stadium. It'll still be a lot of LSU fans. It'll still be, but I do think this is as coin flippy of a game as there is. The one thing we know is I think both offenses aren't going to be dynamic. I would be stunned, shocked, and amazed that that happened. Staring down the next three after that, though, Tommy, at A&M comes to Baton Rouge, and then you got to go to Tuscaloosa. At this point, I have zero confidence in that they're going to be able to put up enough points to beat either of those teams. Yeah, the defense might keep them in it and all that, but I mean, uh, it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking, and it proves to you that we know nothing. Whether it's you or I, or whether it's other analysts, or whether it's even the coaches. I mean, there's no way that the coaches thought privately in August, well, we got some concerns about this offense this year. I don't know, man. I know we're telling everybody it's going to be special and Heisman and all that, but potential, but like, I don't know. There's no way. It just goes to show until the real bullets start flying, you don't really know what you have unless you just have, unless it's horrific in practice.
Well, you can't simulate game speed in practice. We all know that. And keep in mind that the other teams are trying to win. Their coaches are coaching hard, trying to win, and they're 5-1. There's a little something that you can be said for that. But the month of October is going to be a telltale month for this team. And do they have a shot at the playoffs going forward? SEC is very strong. Other than a couple of teams at the very bottom, they're very strong. So it's going to be an interesting month for LSU football.
Yeah, but I mean, I said before the season, I thought 9-3, and I'm still holding going. They're going to that. James Franklin gets fired at Penn State. They're going to have to buy him out $49 million. LSU fans do not look at that and think, see, they did it. We can too, because that's what you're looking at with Brian Kelly around a $50 million buyout. It is not going to happen, folks. Doesn't matter what LSU. Brian Kelly could lose 4 more games this year. It is not going to happen. They don't have the money. They're not. So stop. Just stop. What Penn State did, Tommy, in this day and age in 2025 is ludicrous. And I mean, the AD should be fired for doing it. Like, you can't piss away $50 million anymore like you used to.
Well, Adidas is going to make that good or close to good, according to reports out of Happy Valley. And Adidas is a big, school sponsor of Penn State. That's what it's going to take with these buyouts is, that rich guy that could write the check at whatever school. And then it's going to go back to something you mentioned a month or two ago, Roddy. The days of these 8-10 year contracts, they're going to be over because you got to pay the players.
They have to be.
So, I mean, you're going to get this 4th-year contract with a 5th-year rollover, like the old-fashioned way. Coaches always say, we need 4 years so we can recruit. Well, you don't need that anymore. You need to recruit the portal and NIL and sprinkle a few freshmen in. So I think you're looking at 3-4 year contracts, going forward at so many major schools are going to be making coaching changes, and others are still to come. We don't know which ones, but it's a money, and there's going to be a tipping point. We just don't know when it's going to be.
I was shocked and amazed when I thought $50 million was a no-go, even though Penn State's got it, even though, whatever. I can't imagine that Adidas is going to give them $50 million. I mean, I don't know why Adidas would give them a whole lot anyway, but whatever. Regardless of where the money comes from and how they get it, I mean, 50 million for one guy just to go away is just
well,
I don't know, man. You'd be better off, Tommy. Just like I said, finding them a new OC or DC or getting a better quarterback or whatever. Because look, there's no guarantee you're going to fire James Franklin and you're going to go, oh, all right, we got rid of James Franklin. There's no guarantee that the next guy is going to come in and do any better. You know what I mean? Like, now, I mean, Penn State is going to be catastrophically terrible the rest of the year because they lost their quarterback out for the year, who was another Heisman candidate going into the season. And, now that, everything's off the table. My quarterback's gone. We got no shot at the playoffs. We fired our coach. I mean, they're going to pack it in mentally, and all these players are going to start looking to the portal and, what's next for them individually. But you're not going to be able to read that. But like, look, I mean, someone made a great point that the upper echelon teams, the top 20 teams in the country that are year in and year out top 20 that expect to be in the playoffs, that think of themselves as like an LSU, that expect to be one of the 12 teams in the playoffs, and when they're not, it's disappointing. And when it's not, the bottom line is like they look at themselves, like an LSU looks at themselves and thinks 9-3 is the worst we should ever be in a given year. Never worse than 9-3. It should be 9-3 at worst in a given year. And the reality is that teams have to start looking themselves in the mirror and realizing, no, that's not the worst. You're not going to be 9-3 or better every year anymore. Those days are gone because of all the things we talk about on this show. You don't have the ability like Alabama and Georgia did for years to stack talent, to have more money under the table than other people did. To have now, no, Indiana's got $20 million if they want. Right? They have the ability to do that. So because of that level-ish playing field, the ability to just dominate and never be below a 9-3 record is not there. You're going to have that one mulligan season every 5 years or whatever, where you go 7-5 or 8-4 or something like that. And folks just need to wrap their head around that.
Well, Ronnie, I'm old enough to remember when Indiana was a basketball school, okay? But anyway, Ronnie, look at this. 3 weeks ago, a short 3 weeks ago, Penn State was ranked in the top five, quarterback among the Heisman conversation, playoffs for sure, Big Ten title. And a short 3 weeks later, quarterback's out for the year with an injury, coach is fired, you got no shot at the playoffs. Happy Valley did an unhappy twist real quick.
The Oregon loss at home, followed by the UCLA loss on the road, and then a Northwestern loss at home where they were, 20, 30-point
Well,
favorite
it's
over Northwestern.
First time ever that a Power Five team or Power Four was favored by 20 or more on back-to-back weeks and lost straight up.
Right.
Never happened before.
Yeah. As shocking as that is, Tommy, it's more shocking to me that Penn State's going to pay $50 million to buy out their coach in this day and age where money just doesn't flow like it used to, or even if it does flow, as much as it flows in, it flows out. Yeah, so it's shocking to me. But LSU fans, don't get your hopes up. No matter how bad it gets this year, that will not be the case in Baton Rouge. There is nobody writing a big giant $30 million check to go towards whatever to fire a coach. No chance.
Well, and in Happy Valley, I mean, that 50 million's between 60 and 65 when you throw in the rest of the staff. I don't know the rest of the staff's contracts, but the coordinators were getting paid significantly, and you got, so it's a big number. Plus, you got to pay the new staff to come in. So it's really like a $150 million decision. But man, it's just crazy. I mean, Oregon State fires their coach, Trent Dilfer, Super Bowl winning quarterback, fired at UAB. I mean, it's the
Trent
new lay of the
Dilfer.
land.
Trent
He's been on
Dilfer.
shaky ground. Yeah.
I'm just shocked at how bad it went for Trent Dilfer at UAB. It was it was just a short time ago. He was one of the premier analysts on TV. Working all the quarterback camps and all the connections, and he had a lot of success, obviously, in high school as a coach. For it to go as badly as it did, UAB football. It just is so bad right now. I'm amazed that how it just collapsed around Trent Dilfer. But some of the positive stories this year. Indiana back-to-back years. I don't know how long their coach is going to be there, but back-to-back years where they're doing their thing. Billy Napier hung in there for 3 quarters against A&M, but then Florida lost. A&M pulled away in the fourth quarter. We got to believe Billy Napier is going to be gone at the end of the season. He's staring down about a $19 million buyout once the season's over, I think by December. So, that's going to be an SEC job that I think we all expect to be open. Obviously, Arkansas has Petrino as an interim. They put up a good fight over the weekend. Lost by 3. Was it Tennessee, Tommy? I think, 34-31, scored some points, which is what Petrino does. But I think Arkansas job's going to be open. Florida job's going to be open. And obviously Penn State's is going to be open, which is a big job. And we'll see what else around the country. Oklahoma State is another job that's going to be open. So those are some premier jobs, top 20 type jobs, top 20, Oklahoma State with their resources is a better job than maybe what you would think just by saying Oklahoma State and Big 12. Another almost catastrophic collapse came with Ole Miss. Ole Miss, I want to say, was a 30-point favorite or something like that.
32.
32-point favorite against Washington State. They end up winning by a field goal at the end of that game.
Yeah, that was a little shaky there with the Rebels at Oxford, but they did get a win. Now they got to go to Georgia this week. So we're really found out about the Rebels. But, Georgia struggled with Auburn, and there was a horrific call in that Auburn game. Auburn should have had a touchdown, wasn't given one. But I don't know how do the people think the fans don't have replay? I mean, that they can see that. I mean, it's happened in baseball.
Explain the call to the folks that didn't see
the
it.
Quarterback sneak, and I know a lot of times it's inconclusive, but he broke the plane with the ball, okay, and then they popped it out, and then they called it a fumble. But he broke clearly. There was no question. Again, I know sometimes there's a question. It's not conclusive. You could argue both ways. Not on this particular thing, and of course Auburn got screwed a couple weeks ago when Auburn did the lonesome wide receiver, which the SEC admitted was a mistake by that officiating crew. They suspended that crew for a week. But, and the same thing in baseball and in the NFL. Dude, I hope they realize the fans will see the replay. You can't.
Well, another bad call was, Kirby Smart goes running down the sidelines calling a timeout. They blow the whistle. And then say after they get together, oh, he wasn't calling a timeout. He was running down the sidelines clapping, I guess is what Kirby Smart tried to say. But then when you show the replay and you see him, he's clearly calling timeout. Like I first off, if we're going to have replay in 73 cameras, use them. Like it's, like all these rules where we can review this, but we can't review that. We can overturn this, but we can't overturn that. When it's an egregious thing like that, when they're showing it on the Jumbotron inside Jordan-Hare over and over and over of them running down the sidelines calling timeout, but yet the people on the midfield, they're not allowed to look up and go, oh, yeah, he is calling timeout. We were wrong. Well, I mean, come on, man, just get it right. I don't care about the rules. Get it right.
That goes back to LSU Alabama when Kevin Wagner kept putting the replay up there, the DiNardo days of the fumble, and then they turned it over. That's what started the whole thing. But Ronnie, I mean, the video don't lie, okay? And it boggles my mind, and I've seen it a lot in the last couple of weeks. NFL, and I've watched a lot of baseball where they don't correct the call. And this is a term that should not be in sports. That play is not reviewable. That term shouldn't be in sports. Right. Review it. I don't care. I think every coach in America wants the call right, even because they know when that time it goes for them, they want it. And that time when it goes against them, they still got a bottom line. They want the call right. And for replay people to think that we're not looking at home on my 4K TV, 55-inch TV right there in my room, I can see that it's a touchdown. And you say it's not. It raises a lot of questions.
All right, TK. Major League Baseball, the playoffs are in full effect. Kevin Gausman, the LSU product, Baton Rouge native, pitched well. Got the loss though for Toronto, game 1 against Seattle. 5 1/3, I believe he went. Gave up a 2-run homer in the 6th. Had a 1-0 lead and gave it up to the MVP for Seattle.
Cal Raleigh. Yeah. Gausman looked good. That splitter was working. But the Mariners up 1-0. Big win on the road for them. They'll play again today at 4:00, game 2. right out the chute. Again, quick turnaround for those clubs after the Mariners played 15 innings and then flew, and they had plane issues getting into Toronto. So I don't know. It might be the Blue Jays kind of day today. And then tonight, game one of the NLCS, Dodgers at Brewers in Milwaukee. So that one's the second game tonight. And by the way, there's an NFL overlapping doubleheader tonight, including the Bears playing the Commanders and Jaden Daniels. And the Bears are the Saints' next opponent next week in Chicago.
Yeah, the Bears will have a short week. Oh, by the way, epic game 5 between the Brewers and the Cubs.
Yep.
Epic in the sense that two organizations and two cities that hate each other. I think it was 3-1, right? Brewers won 3-1, I believe, over the Cubs. Did you see? It was pretty funny. The post game celebration on the field for the Brewers. They're taking a team photo, with their playoff shirts on, championship shirts, right, and all that stuff. And they break out the flag. You know how the Cubs had the white flag with the W on it. Well, they break out a white flag with a blue L on it and hold it
Oh,
up, and everybody starts cheering and all that. It was pretty hilarious.
there'd be a little juice for when they
Yeah,
play next year, right?
yeah.
And again, they're 75 miles apart, Chicago and Milwaukee, give or take a mile from stadium to stadium. But yeah, so that's going to add some juice, as we like to say, to that series next year. But Milwaukee's just so good, man. They got pitching, and then they got pitching.
Speaking of pitching, I went out to the LSU baseball scrimmage yesterday. They had they had 3 scrimmages the last couple of days. We'll talk about it on Wednesday. I'll talk about some LSU baseball, what I saw. I'll tell you, I will say this. I saw Jake Brown hit a home run while I was there. But also, speaking of pitching, Coach, I didn't see a fastball that didn't have a 9 in front of it, and some of these cats, I mean, William Schmidt hit 98 yesterday for LSU, the sophomore from Catholic High, threw 2 innings, looked fantastic. But we'll talk some LSU baseball on Wednesday, give you a little snapshot opinion and takeaway on a few things that I saw out there. TK, tell us about Court Street Cafe.
Well, Court Street Cafe, breakfast, lunch, dinner, 7 days a week, the Sunday brunch. With LSU kicking off at 11 o'clock this Saturday, it'll be a great time to come get steak night here at Court Street Cafe. They get their steaks from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. You can get the filet, you can get the ribeye, all the potato, the salad, all the side dishes. Every Saturday night, Court Street Cafe steak night. It's a great deal. You don't want to miss it. Jason and the staff do a super job. Then on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. their Sunday brunch. Got the mimosas flowing, the Bloody Marys, great breakfast food. That's every Sunday. You can come talk about LSU and Vandy. You can come talk about the Saints who will play the Bears Sunday at noon in Chicago. Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. Lunch special today, red beans and rice. Go figure. It's a Monday. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Connect with them on Facebook and Instagram. They do a great job of posting lunch specials, dinner of the week special, drink specials, some other things that are coming up this fall. Court Street Cafe. Hit them up on Facebook. Hit them up on Instagram. Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. As Ronnie mentioned, Sports Shorts Daily. Again, Wednesday morning, we'll be at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge. We'll be there Wednesday for another episode. Hope you have a wonderful Monday, everyone. Talk to you again real soon.